With practice and qualifying in the books, it's time to get set for some Roval action over on DraftKings. We'll look at the updated betting odds where Tyler Reddick's number has cratered, and hopefully you got some value. Brian and I will go through it all next on today's Angle of Pursuit.
Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack.
Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on grass.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
Brian Twining, practice is over. Qualifying's in the books. Tyler Reddick is your pole sitter. We can talk about his odds. We can talk about how much Kyle Larson on DraftKings starting 36 we're going to have. And all of the above. But before we dive into anything, how the hell are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Just like you said, Tyler Reddick with an absolute rocket ship. And I don't think it's really that close in terms of who has the best car this weekend. And we were chatting real quick prior to jumping on here, but I was having I wouldn't call it a heated debate on Twitter earlier today about why I would have gotten down on Tyler Reddick's odds at plus 790 or 8-1, wherever the best number you could get. When he's outside of the playoff picture right now, he's probably, or the expectation is he's going to try to go for the stage points at the end of stage one. But my rebuttal to that is, why would a driver who is clearly maybe one of the best three on this track type surrender the ability to get a win, which would only further his positioning for the next round of playoffs, when the expectation is for him to finish extremely well here? Surrender that possibility to just get stage points and to make it a little bit safer in terms of possibly advancing. Like, what if he wrecks in stage two? Then that stage one is all for naught. And then Brad Keselowski finishes the race and does whatever he does. That those stage points are completely moot. So, I'll take the 8-1 odds. It cratered, like you said. I fully expected this, and I still think Tyler Reddick's the best car, and I think he's going to win.
Yeah, and so I'll push back just a little bit, just to kind of give the other side. So Reddick currently sitting right on the cut line, a couple points to the bad. But we talked Keselowski and low expectations for him. We'll see what Larson does. Ultimately, I think he'll be fine, but sitting right there, Truex sitting right there, Chris Buescher sitting right there. Bubba Wallace behind him, traditionally not very good here. Chastain, no interest, and then Kyle Busch. So he's kind of in a good spot where yes, it would be ideal to get a win and not have to worry about anything. But if he gets a stage win here, a few points there, all of a sudden he's looking really strong, and he's on the right side, flirting, obviously still really flirting with the cut line. And, I'm sure it could, develop a lot too. Like if Kyle Busch all of a sudden is the dominant car on Sunday and we're in stage 3 and he's looking amazing, well, then Reddick's going to have to push it. Where if, a Blaney or a Byron perhaps are in the lead, or even Denny Hamlin, he's not going to feel as much pressure to kind of force it to get to the front and win the race. Obviously, he's got a rocket ship. He's going to take advantage of it. We'll see what happens. And I think the best point that you made before we recorded was about kind of being the winner in stage 2 is much more important than being the winner in stage 1, as would give the people the nugget.
In the previous 5 Charlotte Roval races, the winner of that particular race, I think the best finish they've ever had in stage 1 is 8th. So clearly, if you want to win this race, you do not want to finish well in stage 1. And so it'll be interesting to see how these guys go about doing that. And I think it's really important to note too that Kyle Busch did an interview earlier today, and they were talking about his plans for the Roval race on Sunday, with him being so far out of the playoff picture right now. And he's clearly going for a victory here. So again, what if Tyler Reddick goes for the stage points and say he finishes first, but then you have like Keselowski and Kyle Larson, who, they also stay out. They let everybody else pit. They both get, say, second and third. He's not really making up that much ground. Yeah. You have a guy like Kyle Busch who's putting himself in position to win. He's surrendering the possibility of getting in by playing it safe, as opposed to the other guys below him not playing it safe. So I just don't see why a guy who is as good as he is on this track type would even worry about that. And just instead of just going for the victory, which I mean, there's a reason why he opened as one of the second or third favorite for the race. Like he is expected to perform extremely well here, and I don't think that's going to change tomorrow.
And if you have strong feelings, we'll have to look at the lines when we get over there. But stage 2 winner, Tyler Reddick. Stage 2 winner, Denny Hamlin. Stage 2 winner, Chris Bell. Whoever you happen to like might be a nice supplementary bet.
3 of the last 5 winners here, or 3 of the 5 winners finished first or second in stage 2. So, I mean, there is a correlation there.
That's what I'm saying. That was the nugget I was looking for. So I appreciate you dropping knowledge for the people. So something to think about if you want to, supplement it outright, or maybe you got a good number on Tyler Reddick. Now you can come back with a stage 2 win and then, hopefully hit both of them and not worry about it, but something to think about. Brian Twining, it's DraftKings season. It's time to talk about the options. We have 4 10K drivers. We have Chase Elliott starting 8th. We have Kyle Larson starting 36th, 10-3. We have Byron starting 14th at 10-2. And the aforementioned Tyler Reddick at an even 10K. Larson will be popular.
Elliott's going to be popular too.
Elliott's going to be popular. Byron's going to be popular. It'll be very interesting because I think the fact that 3 drivers, all of which, are not in the, all of which are Hendrick guys, all of which are 10K plus, all of which make really interesting options depending on how you're building the rest of your lineup. It might be a good thing because it should help, in theory, split ownership. With all that being said, is Tyler Reddick going to go underlooked because of all the other guys sitting in that range and starting much further back?
Yeah, going along with what I think about him in terms of actually going for the win rather than just playing it safe. Like, I think the majority out there is probably going to think with the latter of that he's going to play it safe and he's going to go for the stage point. So, I mean, they're probably going to fade him. He's probably a good pivot for a lot of people if you're in GPP lineups, because starting from the pole is always difficult in DFS because you have to lead a ton of laps. And with the differing pit strategies here, that's going to be a little bit harder to do when we have the stage break cautions.
Yeah, and I was just thinking that, like, if there was no stage breaks, Reddick could just dominate from start to finish, and there's no question.
He would run away with this.
And there's still a chance he does that, but there is going to be more stage break there's 2 stage break cautions. There's going to be a few more decisions to be made. There's going to be guys staying out, and guys pitting early. So there is a little bit of a mental math you're going to have to play.
That I think people are like kind of glancing over is the fact that his car was like almost 4/10 faster than everybody else in 5 lap speed. And then in 10 lap speed, I believe he was one of only a handful of guys to do that in practice. But I mean, this guy has an absolute rocket ship, short run, long run. To me, this is going to be like a Martin Truex Jr. Sonoma type of thing where he's the best car all day. I know we have the stage break cautions, but it's not going to matter. Like, he's going to find his way up front at the end, whether it's top 3, top 5, or the win. He is going to be there.
Yeah, and there's it's a high likelihood, like you mentioned, like even if he pits and has to come out, 8th, he can get back to the front pretty easily.
Oh yeah.
We'll see how passing is, and the restart zone is a little wild. The Xfinity guys were talking about kind of the interesting ways to play it, and how some people have to get started a little bit sooner, and you're kind of going down the hill, braking, and then pulling it. Yeah. So,
yeah.
All right. So I guess Reddick, obviously early dominator, really interesting. Of the 3 Hendrick guys, who's the most compelling given where they're starting and where they could finish?
I mean, I'm going to eat the chalk here, like Kyle Larson.
It's a good week to eat the chalk. And honestly, at 10-3, it's going to be, I think being unique doesn't mean all 6 of your drivers have to be unique. But so if you go with the Larson, you got to find a way to supplement it somewhere else. And given, if we might even try, like, I might even push you to like a Reddick Larson start. 2 10K guys and some cheap guys in the back. and all of a sudden you're being unique. So something to think about there.
Yeah, and also too, for context, last year Eric Almirola was the 6th highest scoring DK driver. He started 37th and finished 15th. Now, I would say Kyle Larson's ceiling is much better than 15th, regardless of where he's starting. So, I mean, if you get that type of performance out of Almirola, like Larson is a smash play.
Yeah, and he could like pit sooner, get out early, stay out for stage 2, and all of a sudden he's like a top 3 car for basically the whole second half of the race.
Exactly. Honestly, I almost feel like this plays into the type of driver that he is too. Like his personality, he's better coming from the back than he is leading late, where we've seen him.
Well, and he likes to get a lead and run away. So if he can do it late, then he'll be very happy. 9K, Martin Truex starting 11th, Denny Hamlin starting 9th, Toyota trend keeps going, Christopher Bell starting 2nd, Kyle Busch used to be in Toyota starting 5th, Michael McDowell and AJ Allmendinger round out the 9K. A lot to unpack there. Obviously, most guys are all starting in the top 15. You have Kyle Busch starting 5th, Dinger starting 6th, Chris Bell starting 2nd, Denny starting 9th. Like, very interesting group. McDowell, I know there was a lot of excitement about his potential on Sunday, I guess. How do you see the 9K range breaking down, and who is the most compelling, or maybe two of the most compelling options in that range?
Well, I think the most compelling guy, honestly, has got to be Dinger the Ringer at 9K. Last year, I think he started 7th. He finished 4th. He had 24 fastest laps. I mean, he's going to be good here. This is just his forte. I mean, he's not called Dinger the Ringer for no reason. He's road course maven. He's always performed really well here. Now he wasn't as fast as Reddick over certain duration of laps. You know, the 5 lap, I believe he was like a second behind him, but maybe that was him feeling the car out a little bit. I think over the long run, he's so good at these track types. I think he could kind of mitigate fall off better than the rest of the field. And so I think he's a guy who could stay up front here. And what better way to, continue this 2023 full-time Cup Series ride than to steal a win potentially from somebody who needs it?
Yep. I think he is very compelling given where he's starting. I think him and McDowell will both go kind of overlooked given who's just in front of him and just behind him. I think, obviously Truex and Hamlin are going to be the easier names, easier clicks, higher expectations. Kyle Busch is interesting because he's been a wild ride, but to see him qualify as well as he did, and, his practice speed wasn't amazing, but he was 8th over the 5 lap and then was the slowest of the 5 cars that ran 10. So, but clearly he stayed out to find something, and hopefully he did and was able to do enough on with qualifying to get a 5th starting slot. So that's kind of interesting. Some really, really compelling decisions in that window to make. We'll see where people end up shaking out. We'll go down to the 8K range. Christopher Buescher starting 20th at 8,800. Ryan Blaney, not ideal. Ryan Blaney starting 17th. Daniel Suarez.
Told you, man. I had a feeling.
Starting 3rd at 8,500. Chastain. Might need to talk to his amigo and find out where the Speedo is. Joey Logano starting 7th, and Ty Gibbs starting 10th at the 8K. So I guess, let's put it this way. If you want to be a little unique, if you want an early potential dominator, do you trust me, amigo Daniel Suarez, to be a nice pivot, to be somebody that maybe, nobody's going to be on Daniel Suarez? Can you get to him, and then maybe you're adding, a Buescher and Byron and Larson or something to kind of, pivot off of. I guess where's your head at for him? And then if not him, who do you like in the range, especially with like Buescher, Blaney, Chastain kind of starting further back?
Sí, el número 99 es muy rápido. Daniel Suarez, he put down some nice laps, practice and qualifying. He looked great. They even have it on the back banner of the car. It says like whatever his sponsor is, it says El Rapido. Like they must have known something coming into this weekend. And I had a damn feeling that he was going to be decent this week, but
Is he
it's
on your betting
hard.
card?
It's hard to get to him when he's starting third. Like we've seen them perform well at road courses in 2022. They kind of took a step back this year, and it's hard to trust them. Like, are we going to get last year's version of this team on road courses, or are we going to get a mixture and they're going to fall back later in the race, or he's going to make a mistake? He's probably going to be the first guy that spins out going a little bit too deep into one of the corners.
So what you're saying is no, you don't trust him.
I mean, if you want to be different, he's going to be good. Like, he is good on these courses. We've seen him win on road courses before. If you're entering, GPP lineup, like, yeah, sure, skip all the other guys and start with Suarez as your potential early dominator, because if he can somehow sneak in front of somebody and park the bus, maybe he makes it work.
Do you trust Buescher or Blaney to be fast? And to kind of make up for what they did in practice and qualifying?
My only hope for Blaney is that they get off schedule and they play for a win, knowing that they're already locked in. That's the only thing I would say for him. He's a wild card. Buescher, I mean, I wouldn't say he's completely safe going into the next round, but I mean, barring an absolute disaster where he wrecks, I don't see them getting too aggressive and putting themselves at risk for, losing out on a playoff spot. So I don't think they're going to be battling for, crazy positions or, moving up one or two spots. Like, if they're riding in the low teens and they're perfectly fine in points, I think they're just going to stay there.
And then my other question for you, kind of based off of what you just said, in terms of the guys that we kind of expect to be more of a stage contender than a race contender, how are you factoring, like, are you kind of taking stands on guys and building your lineups accordingly and going, I think this, therefore this? Or are you a little more open to, I think they'll be good in the race. Maybe they're not going for a stage win, but ultimately that might not matter for what I need.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm just looking at it from the perspective of who's going to be good for the majority of the day. Like, who's not going to just try to luck into a decent spot? Joey Logano.
Right.
Like, clearly Buescher's good on road courses. Like you said, Michael McDowell, he's been great at road courses this year. I think he makes a ton of sense going back to the 9K range. And then, Suarez, he's done it in the past, but you can't really trust that he's going to stay up there, which makes him much riskier. Yeah. And then the Blaney thing again, like he has no motivation to do anything other than get crazy and try for another victory here. So I guess for me, the stages don't really matter in DraftKings or in DFS because you don't get points for that. It's all about finishing position. And
right. No, but I'm thinking, like, if you're worried, like, for example, in cash, I'm probably going to avoid Kyle Busch because he could pull some strategies to try and win a race. Ultimately may cause him to finish 27th.
Yeah, but I also think, too, having the track position, I think he's going to be there pretty much for the majority of the day. Like, I don't think he's going to do anything to sacrifice running near the front.
Yeah, but if, like, things shuffle and he ends up 18th, maybe he makes a move. I don't know. All right, 7K range. Kevin Harvick, Alex Bowman 16th, Austin Cindric. Jesus, why would anybody put that bum on their betting card? Kind of morons. Chase Briscoe, Brad Keselowski, and Bubba Wallace.
Woo, Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace, second best car in practice and 5-lap averages. Are you buying it?
Hey, I talked about it early in the week. The top 10 number plus 350 was one of my favorite bets. Smashed him against Ricky Stenhouse. He's a little bit of a different case because I think it's going to be predicated on how Brad Keselowski and Kyle Larson are running. Now, like, clearly in stage one, I think he's probably, for me, one of the most likely guys to stay out and get the stage points.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that team, yes, they expect to be good and fast at tracks, but I mean, nobody in their right mind came into this weekend thinking Bubba Wallace was a contender to win. So I mean, and they probably think this as well because there's a ton of cars that are going to be better on the long run than he was. Practice numbers were okay for him. So I think he is going to be the one that wants the stage points early to try to move up and then see how they want to go about the race the rest of the day. So I think for him, he's a little bit of a riskier move in DFS because of the likelihood of him dropping back late if he's trying to go for stage points in both for the first and second stages.
Yeah. This is the last race over the round of 12, right?
Yeah, this is the cutoff race. So I mean,
so he's gonna have to do something though. Like I don't know, like Reddick, I feel a lot better about potentially just racking up stage wins. I feel like he's close enough. Bubba feels like he has a little more caution, a little more Molotov cocktail in his ride where he could.
Well, he essentially has to pass two people because he has to expect that his teammate, who is better than him on road courses and who was faster than him on road courses, is going to get in somehow. And then now that means he also has to beat Keselowski and Kyle Larson, Bubba.
Yeah, he needs two of Truex, Larson, and Keselowski most likely to pop out.
Exactly.
And obviously Brad's only 2 points to the good, so he could easily be out the way. And then he just needs Larson or Truex to have a bad day and then him to finish near the front, and maybe that gets the job done. Gonna be interesting race. I'm gonna be excited to watch along with football and everything tomorrow. Eric Jones, Justin Haley, Ricky Stenhouse, Austin Dillon, Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, and Eric Almirola round out the 6K range. Is there a name where if you're looking to save some salary that, hey, that's kind of interesting, I could see myself getting there? Anybody jumping out for you?
No. Simply put, no. Yeah, Almirola have no interest. Ricky Stenhouse, no thanks. On this course, like he's going to be the one that flips the car because he goes over one of the turtles too hard.
Yeah, Ryan Preece, maybe I could talk myself into. I think there's going to be some interesting options in this range with not a lot of ownership, which is probably going to be a good thing. It's kind of gross. I don't really love it. But if you're not going there and you need to save salary, then we're talking Corey LaJoie, Mike Rockenfeller, Austin Hill, Harrison Burton, Todd Gilliland, Andy Lally, Ty Dillon, and Josh Bilicki. If not the 6K range, I don't think there is a ton of difference between the 6K and the 5K, which is probably a more of a reason to dive down. But like, if you need to save salary, give me two names that you could possibly see yourself pivoting to.
Yeah, I definitely think Preece is one of those guys. Like, if he can move up a couple of spots, I think he's somebody who could sneak in, maybe even steal a top 10 somehow. And then, man,
I don't hate Austin Hill. I know it's not really.
I can't get there. I'd probably rather go to Mike Rockenfeller in the 42, just because that car has looked pretty good with Hocevar, decent speed. Rockenfeller is known for a street guy. So, I mean, if he can maybe steal a top 20, you're good with there. But
definitely the best ride he's had in a cup car. So
yeah, but I also feel this week in DFS, this is really a week where you need to attack like the middle salary guys. Like, this isn't a low salary or like.
But that means we're missing out on Reddick, Byron, Larson, and Elliott if we do.
Yeah, I know, but like the guys at the bottom are trash.
We'll build two lineups.
Okay.
We'll build two lineups. One where we completely avoid the 10K range and just dive in.
That's so scary.
And then we'll do one where we start with at least one. I like to use two from the 10K range and build out.
Okay, so let's start with the first one that you mentioned. Let's try to squeeze Larson and Reddick into a line. because I think that's extremely fun to see if we can do this.
And obviously, it one or the other in lineups doesn't seem that crazy, but from a unique angle, having both of them I think is really good. I'd like to squeeze in Christopher Buescher because I feel solid about his
Go for it.
Top 5.
Okay, I think we go to Rockefeller at the bottom, 5,600.
Okay.
I mean, he's not safe by any means, but
no.
What do you think about Justin Haley? We talked about him pretty much throughout the entirety of the year at road courses because Dinger is so good at road courses. He's in his ear trying to get tips and tricks, and Haley performed pretty well here last year. He cracked the top 10.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't think a lot of people will be on him. It's all about the range he's in. But yeah, that could be interesting, and that could.
And that opens up a lot more salary.
Yeah,
too.
That could get us a lot more comfortable with our next option. Although I was hoping to get up to Dinger, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think we need somebody starting farther forward. This isn't like Daytona or Dega where we just need to load up on back markers. Let's see here.
Well, I mean, Kyle Larson is not your stereotypical back marker, though.
That's true. That is very.
And Buescher too, but for all intents and purposes, is better than a 20th place car.
That's also very, very fair. Do you have interest in mi amigo? Do you want to go to Alex, the showman, slow man, bowman?
I don't think you could have both Reddick and Suarez.
Yeah,
you run the risk of both of them not finishing even top 10.
Yeah, I think Bowman I could see an argument for.
What about Harvick? Like I haven't heard anything about Harvick. He was good here last year. He's
probably the right answer. I don't know. I feel like he could just kind of not really give it this week, but I think he's probably the right answer. I think he is somebody that we're looking, and it's all of a sudden towards the end of stage 3, and oh, Kevin Harvick has had a day. He's sitting 7th currently, and here he is on the restart and gets like a
right.
That's probably the right answer.
Well, okay, perfect. Last week, I know Talladega, like super speedways are not regular races, but like who the F thought that Kevin Harvick was going to be there at the end battling for a win? Like,
yeah, no, that's the right answer. I hate it.
All right.
Just because I'm
no 10K guys. Here we go. This is terrifying.
I mean, we seem to do okay with the last one, and it's scary avoiding Larson, but
I think the biggest risk is not having Larson in a lineup.
Yeah. But if you're trying to win a tournament and you want to fade one driver, where if Larson wrecks 40-50% of lineups,
yep,
gone. See ya.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're gonna be in a tournament, now if you're in cash, load up on Larson. Don't get cute. But yeah. So if we're working under that assumption, we're skipping all of the 10K guys. Who, do we want to get to Dinger? Do you like
Dinger?
Denny
Yeah,
Hamlin?
that's funny you say that because that was the first name that I thought about.
All right, Dinger. Buescher is kind of a smash for me.
What about McDowell?
I think McDowell makes sense too. I think
like two very solid road guys.
I think that's the fun part about where we're starting is that you just load up on guys kind of in this range. And then we can decide, do we want to do like a Harvick? I know it's gross, but
no Cindric. I have no faith.
Or do we want to like try and do like a Corey LaJoie thing, but then open ourselves up to like much better options at the top?
Corey LaJoie.
I don't know.
He has to make right turns.
Oh yeah, that's kind of I was playing NASCAR Heat, and I was doing the Roval, and literally every time I come down, try and go around, I carry way too much speed and slam right into the barrier. I was like, This is supposed to be what Corey LaJoy goes through each and
Yeah,
every road
exactly.
course. Like just
Oh
the
man.
left turns are fine, the right turn not so much.
What if we go to another middle guy, Ryan
What about
Preece?
Ryan Preece?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh,
We're in each other's minds.
terrifying.
It is.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and that gives us a lot more flexibility. So
All right. Okay.
All right. Okay. Justin Haley, since we're doing the
No.
Dinger thing.
You know who's not going to be in people's lineups?
I don't.
Bubba Wallace.
I mean,
If
you
you
have
wanna
a
get
point.
wild.
And then so now we have two potential dominators with Dinger and Bubba Wallace.
Because Wallace is fast.
God, this is wild.
Okay. Here's a hypothetical here. Say Tyler Reddick is so good early, he wins both stages 1 and 2, and say, let's just assume Brad Keselowski wrecked out. Okay, so he's eliminated from the picture. We're coming late stage 3. First and second is Reddick and Bubba Wallace. Reddick has essentially clinched his spot already because Keselowski has been knocked out. So now Reddick is in the playoffs. If Bubba Wallace,
I feel like in a world where Tyler Reddick dominates stage 1 and stage 2, he's probably the guy you need.
No. What I'm saying is, say we're at a point at the coming to the end of the race where Kyle Larson had a difficult time getting through the field, and Bubba Wallace can get in with a win, and Reddick can also get in just by points because of where, say, Larson is running, and he has really no chance to get up there. Do you see a world where 2311 does it again, kind of like Denny basically allowed Reddick to get that victory a few weeks ago?
Sure. Yeah. No, I think that's plausible. I think a lot has to happen for that to happen, but yeah, in a world where all those things happen. Question is the final spot. We have some interesting. We can do the Truex thing. We can do the Denny thing. Christopher Bell. I think Denny is my favorite option of the Toyotas up here.
I don't hate Denny this week because he was about to put down an extremely fast lap.
And I feel better, like obviously having these guys together, plus with like, Busher can win, Dinger can win. I guess McDowell could win, but like I want a little more star power, and I think Denny brings that more than the other guys. And I trust him a lot more than Christopher Bell and Martin Truex.
Hey, I'm more than happy to do that on DFS. I will silently be rooting for Christopher Bell though, because
you have a nice number on him. Yeah,
because of the number I'm sitting on from Vegas.
Yeah, I think those lineups were far too easy for us to make. I don't like how comfortable that was. Nonetheless, let's pivot. Let's talk some betting. Let's see where we're at. So I have Hamlin outright 18, Byron outright 7. I have Busher to top 4 at plus 550. Hamlin top Toyota at plus 420. Busher over Chris Bell, and Austin Cindric over Kevin Harvick. What a donkey. All right, you have Chris Bell at 20. You have Alex Bowman at 35. Tyler Reddick at 8. I feel like all those numbers have cratered. We'll look at what they're at. Bubba top 10 at plus 350. Bubba over Stenhouse at minus $1.20. And Bell over Gibbs at minus $1.20. So have some nice stuff on the card. We'll see if we end up getting to cash any of those things, but let's look at lines where we're at now. FanDuel on this is not updated, so we're just going to ignore it. But that gives us Caesars, DK, and Rivers, which is fine. Gives us a good
FanDuel is dead to me anyways.
Judge of the market. Reddick is your favorite. Brian, tell the people what Reddick's current number is at BetMGM.
Plus 350, folks.
We're living in a wild, wild world. His number cratered. We warned you that could happen if he qualified well, and sure enough, I will say there is still some very nice numbers for Tyler Reddick to win the Cup Championship, as long as 20-1. So if you want some potential exposure to Reddick, but don't necessarily want to get down on the 3.5 or 4.5 to 1, betting him to win the championship, you get yourself into the final 4. All of a sudden, you have a 20-1 ticket on a guy who traditionally one of the 3 or 4 playoff drivers is pretty much they're all like 3 or 4 to 1, and they all that's kind of how the winner of the race is the winner of the championship. So if you can get to Phoenix with Reddick and have like a 18 or 20 to 1, you'll feel really nice. So something to think about. Elliott's 5.5, 6.5, still basically about where he was.
I don't understand the Elliott love.
He is the most popular driver. People love to bet him. There was a video today of he was doing a signing at a Hooters in Charlotte, and the line was like 2 miles long. It was crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, people love him. NASCAR loves him. People love him. This would
Did
be
you
a good...
see? Like no offense to Chase Elliott, but
we're gonna offend Chase Elliott significantly.
He had a press conference today, and like for the most popular driver in the sport, he's very reminiscent of Mike Trout. Like he's just not excitable. He's not outgoing, and
he's very
that's
vanilla.
fine. That's his personality, and that's great, and that works for him. And I'm not knocking him, but like to see some emotion out of him would be fantastic.
And I think we might if it was going for the championship, but
yeah,
it's been a long season for him for sure. But yeah, I think both of us agree. Like probably not betting that. There's no way. The Dinger 9 or 10 to 1.
Hey, I still like that because that's what he opened at.
Yeah, and see my thing with the Dinger, and this is and I'm very interested to see what Wormy says tomorrow in his previous poll. Which, if you're not checking in on that every Sunday morning, it's about 2 hours before Green Flag, which I think is
I think it's 2:30 Eastern.
2:30. So yeah, 11:30 on here on the West Coast. Make sure you're checking that out. So about 2 hours before, so like 12:30 probably Eastern time.
Yeah.
He's a big Dinger guy, just kind of in general. So I'm curious to see if he gets there. But I think at 10 to 1 for a guy who's looked as fast as he has at a place where he can be really, really good, I think it's a fine number. I wish I had waited on Byron because 10 or 11 is much better than 7. Tempted to double down, but like, I don't know. I think I'd rather add exposure to someone else, but we'll see. Chris Bell, 10 to 1. Obviously, you're holding a much, much better ticket. But if you're coming into market now, is Bell done enough?
No.
Practice? Yeah.
He is the king. He has been the king of like late race disasters. So I can't get there with him, especially behind Reddick. Like seeing how good Reddick's car is, I just don't see like why you would get in at 10 to 1.
And there might be some decent live betting opportunities with people pitting early in stage 1 and the stage 2 restart.
Now, okay, so not to interrupt you there, but do you think the books are aware of that?
I think
like it's not like somebody went to the back because they wrecked.
I think the books have more of an algorithm than people, especially for something like this, where they just obviously they go, okay, here's where they started, here's what we expect, but here's where they are right now, and we're going to adjust accordingly. Like I don't think he'll go to like 35 to 1 because he's 22nd, but I think you could get 14 instead of 10.
Well, okay, so that's a good conversation to have because, for instance, like Kyle Larson, 17 to 1 is an incredible number, but I mean, he's starting at the back of the field. If he's not named Kyle Larson, he's probably 25, 30 to 1, but the expectation is he's going to be really good here. So I think the same goes for guys in race. Like if Tyler Reddick, what's he going to go to 10 to 1?
If Elliott and Byron were starting 36th, what would their numbers be?
For the same reason that Larson was, because he wrecked his car. Like Byron's
22?
would be much longer just because he's not considered a road course guy.
25?
Probably. But considering where Elliott began the week as the consensus favorite, he'd probably still be 15 or shorter.
I told you I was going to add somebody. Welcome to the betting card, Kyle Larson.
All right. So now my wife is in Vegas right now, and I had her throw down some money on 3 outrights prior to practice and qualifying two are looking great right now in terms of value: Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell, who I got at 25-1. And the third one was Kyle Larson, who, yeah, I lost a little bit of value here, but I got him at 11.5-1 prior to practice and qualifying. And had he not wrecked his car, he's probably top 4, top few rows, and that's a good number. And I think it really shows you the expectation for him tomorrow when he's still, shorter than 20, starting at the back of the field with a backup car.
Yeah. It's just like he's not like he's no guarantee to get to the front. I just trust him to be really good, and I don't know that we'll get much better. Maybe we get a live betting opportunity and we get like a 20. But I think he's smart enough. I think he's got a good pit team, and I think he can make some good decisions where by the end of stage 1 or the middle of stage 2, you're like loving having that ticket in your pocket because he is right where he needs to be.
Yeah, and also too, like that was Bristol, right? Where he started like near the back, and we were downplaying like his ability to move up to the front. He finished second.
Yeah, and I think he was in the top 5 by the end of stage 1. I believe that.
Yeah, he started 36th, and he finished second.
Yeah, it's a lot. And is it easier? I feel like it might. I don't know. I'm trying to figure stuff out. Would you rather bet? Well, I guess first, any interest in Bush or Daniel Suarez in as long as 12 or 15-1 or 12-1? Yeah.
Definitely not Suarez. There's no effing way I'm getting down at 12-1. Suarez.
KFC 12-1.
Bush, I don't hate, but
Especially
I tweeted it out.
Speed.
I tweeted it out earlier today. I'm actually more interested in just hitting like Kyle Busch championship future right now because you can get like 3 times what this race outright odds are right now. I'm sure
Wormy has some tickets he'd happily sell you some shares of.
Yeah, I mean, because Bush is going for a win. Like he basically needs a win here to advance. And I think if he does get that win, though, with the resetting of points, like I don't exactly know how that works when they do this every time they advance in rounds. Like somebody smarter than me in the comments can let us know. But if Bush wins, what is he going to start the next round? Like 4th or 5th? Yeah. Basically sitting right there to advance to the championship.
I like him in Vegas. I like him in Phoenix. Just got to get through.
Exactly.
Do you prefer Martin Truex, Michael McDowell, Denny Hamlin at 16-1 or Kyle Larson at 17-1?
Well, I would bet Larson at 17, but I will say Martin Truex Jr., they did like a post-qualifying short little interview I saw, and he seemed pretty satisfied with his car. So it'll be interesting to see what type of long run speed they have because we know how good he is at road courses. Now the Roval has never been his like greatest track by even from all tracks considering. Yeah. But when he comes out and he says he likes his car,
he was 3rd in 5 lap. He was 3rd in 10 lap. Brian, I haven't done this in a long time. I'm at it. I'm gonna add 4 outrights this week.
Oh man, yeah. Like, I really think Truex is a guy who could sneak up on people. When
the fact that we're still getting 16-1 after looking amazing in practice and qualifying. We saw at Sonoma where he was obviously mispriced prior.
Oh, yeah.
Dominated and all of a sudden looked really good. Obviously didn't dominate because Reddick was doing what he was doing, but he was really damn good, and his number didn't really move that much.
Yeah,
I don't know. That seems silly. I think honestly this week, like I think obviously the best car is probably Reddick, but if I were assembling a betting card right now, Larson, Truex, Hamlin seems like a pretty fun trio to have, all at really nice prices.
Yeah, I honestly, Hamlin is a little bit worrisome because we've seen how he's actually finished these road course races.
But I feel
this
like
year.
95% of that has been weird stuff, weather related, Chicago street race, Sonoma.
Yeah,
like
no, I think you can
sliding into the
definitely attribute
barricade.
some of that to that. But I mean, if you're going to tell me I can get a car that's equivalent to Denny's with a guy who is just historically much better on road courses, yeah, I would rather go to the Truex number.
Yeah.
If it was just those guys, if you were
Right.
comparing those two.
Beyond there's not a lot that I love. Any interest in Christopher Buescher at 30? That's pretty nice.
Again, the only thing I worry about with Buescher because of his current standings, like I don't know how risky they're going to get because I mean they're 19 to the good right now, and an early mistake or something of that nature. I almost feel like they try to solidify them advancing early, so going for the stage points early and then just seeing what happens late.
Yeah. Somehow Bowman floated to 45. Just kind of interesting. He wasn't bad. He wasn't slow.
Yeah, I don't know. That number was definitely more of a dart throw. I don't think he's a legit contender to win. I do still like him. Like if you could find a decent number, top 10 or some matchups, I think he's a good play. But yeah, I'm not really getting down on anybody this far down the board.
Not even a Bubba Wallace at 60 to 1.
Now that 60 to 1 number on Bubba, man, I'm telling you, if we're there at the end and like somebody's say both Larson and Keselowski, well, I guess then Bubba would already be in. Say Keselowski or Larson wrecks out, and then Reddick bumps in. He's automatically in. Just say he wins the first two stages. Like,
oh, I don't think these bets are up to date. Is DraftKings not up to date? That would be very fitting for DraftKings.
Yeah, of course they don't have odds up.
I mean, all the numbers it doesn't make sense, or at least majority of them, because a lot of them have moved and
DK doesn't have numbers.
Tyler Reddick is 5 to 1. So how would they get 5 to 1? Do they just guess?
They must have posted them and then removed them.
Oh no, here they're here.
Oh, what?
Yeah, they're here. That was weird. Oh
yeah, by the way,
Bubba's still 60.
Yeah, see, that's a good number on Bubba.
If you want to take a lottery ticket, of all the guys that are north of 30 to 1, like Buescher at 30 and Bubba at 60.
Yeah.
Really interesting lottery tickets for sure.
I'm going to add it because I almost feel like that's a misprice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, by the time people see this, that'll probably be gone. But for the show purposes, because it's there as we're recording, I am adding this.
The fact that you had him in the top 10 and you had a matchup on him already, there's obviously some optimism. The fact that you can still get a 60 after what we saw, get yourself in position, Bubba, have a shot at the end. That's all we're asking for.
I mean, I don't hate the 30 or 35 on Bubba because I almost feel like that's better. That at this point is a better bet than my Bowman at 35.
Oh yeah,
earlier in the week, just by pure speed.
Oh yeah.
So I don't.
Buescher at 30, and then Bubba I'd much rather bet Buescher at 30 than Bubba. What about Harvick versus Bubba at 60? I don't like Harvick. I think Bubba has better upside.
Man.
Yeah, I think Harvick's probably a better top 3, top 5 bet, but Bubba's, if you want a race winner, I think he's your answer. Okay, dude.
I mean, hey, what about Justin Haley?
What
if we get some wildness like we saw at the Chicago street race where Haley was basically fighting for a win until, of course, SVG freaking rocketed past everybody.
No. That they're not gonna randomly chop off 26 laps at the end of the race for no reason.
Damn it.
Nice try though.
Yeah.
All right. These are always fun. Number of Fords in the top 10. Under is minus 3.5. Under 3.5 is minus 200. Over this was 70. Chevys. over 3.5, under 3.5.
I think that's an interesting.
Chevy's is kind of fun to go under.
I was just gonna say because you got Larson who's starting way back in the field, so I mean obviously he's at risk for something happening. Although we do expect him to be there. I think Kyle Busch is going to be strong, but the fact that he's going for a win, I mean again that's a risky proposition.
Ditto for Ross Chastain.
Yeah, Chastain, him. Who the hell knows with the amigo Daniel Suarez? Like, he's a wild card, and then William Byron. Yeah, he could be. I think he's a top 10 car, but like, what if they just kind of lollygag themselves, knowing that next week they go to quite possibly the best track that they have for that car?
I think we have two. I think there's going to be definitely two, and there's so many wild cards that I think one of them will flip the right way and probably get you to 3, and then you really need that fourth one. I don't know. I feel like these are probably priced pretty fairly.
Oh yeah, and I meant to tell you, your game total under Michigan smashed it by themselves. It's 52-10.
Of course. McDowell plus 230, Logano plus 380. The fact that Buescher's still 5-1 to top 4 is wild to me. I think that's a good number. I don't even hate Kevin Harvick at 10-1.
I mean, if anybody's going to luck into a good finish,
Harvick or Keselowski at 10 and 12 respectively.
Oh, definitely Harvick. I think he's safer because Keselowski is pushing to get into the playoffs. He's been known probably to make a little bit more mistakes than
you can still get Bubba at 10-1 to top Toyota. And obviously with Reddick and Bell and Denny and Truex.
I don't hate that, but I don't know how much more Bubba exposure I could get.
Oh no, I think you're set, but I'm just saying, could be fun. Hamlin at plus 450, I don't hate either. I think that's a good number for a guy who can legitimately win this thing.
I think Truex, plus
he's
600. I think that's a great number on him.
Chase plus 250, the Dinger at 4, Byron at 4.5. Kyle Larson 8-1 to be top Chevy. Welcome to the betting card.
I was just gonna say that to me seems like a really good number.
Because even if he doesn't win, he could finish behind Reddick and Denny and someone else.
I'm checking right now. So Larson's top 5 number is plus 250.
Yeah, and I can get 8-1. Yes, please.
And his top 3 number is plus 450.
Yes, please.
Yeah, the value on Larson is right now, anyways, is outright or top Chevy.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can get your guy Justin Haley at 40-1.
No thanks.
You want to be like, wouldn't it be hilarious?
Yeah.
All right, top 10s. Obviously, a lot of these are going to be gross, but actually, let's go over here. I don't know if the top 10 market is up to date.
Because DK doesn't have top 10s.
Yeah. Let's just look at it.
Yeah, Bet Rivers doesn't have any. BetMGM, of course. Yeah, so Caesars is really the only book right now that has everything open.
Shouts to Caesars. We don't have to record this at like midnight.
Yeah.
Bubba is plus 120 to top 10. You get it at plus 350.
Beautiful.
That's some fucking CLV. Cash that.
I still think plus 120 is a good number. He top 10
given
last
what we saw, what we expect, and how he could, in theory, just get a stage win and
exactly.
That does feel good. Harvick at plus 160 to top 10. I don't hate.
All right, I think I'm finally gonna get down. Okay. Yep, I'm doing it. Alex Bowman, top 10, plus 140. That is getting added.
Yeah.
Finally.
I won't do it because I don't think he's that good anymore, but I think it's a good bet. Austin Hill 16-1 to top 10.
No.
Because of the nonsense, though, I think we could see 1 or 2 longer shots find a way. Like Almirola plus 750. LaJoy plus 750.
Yeah, I do think like if the trend continues and the last caution happens within 10 laps remaining, I do think you could see some funky finishing order
You could
at
see
the end.
like a rando stay out and still get
Exactly.
7th.
Yeah.
The Gilly Gang at 16-1.
Any interest in Andy Lally? I mean, I know he's a road course guy, but
I
he's in
do
a
not.
shit vehicle. But
I do not. If I'm betting a road course guy, I'm gonna do Rockefeller at 16 just because he's in a much better ride.
yeah,
But I'm not. I probably should, but I'm not. All right, top 3. McDowell 4-1, Truex 4-1, Larson. I feel like I'm gonna have far too much Larson exposure tomorrow, given where he's starting, but I feel like I'm gonna love it come stage 2.
I'm
Chase Elliott plus 100 versus Tyler Reddick. Gibbs plus 120 versus Denny. Briscoe. Look at that. Plus 210 or minus 210.
oh
Brian
my
got it at minus
goodness.
120, which is in terms of a matchup, that's a significant move.
Yeah. All right. So I am gonna smash. I'm smashing Haley versus Eric Jones.
Minus 125.
Yeah, I'll eat the juice here on this, but
Should I double down on my Busher plus 145 against Bell? I got it at plus 100.
I don't know, man. Like Bella, the Toyotas looked good in practice.
I don't hate McDowell plus 130 versus Dinger. I know Dinger looked good, and I think he can legitimately win, but those two guys are pretty similar. They're in pretty similar rides. I don't think the difference is that significant.
Oh.
Blaney plus 105 versus Joey Logano.
No, I'm not messing with Blaney this week because he like there's like no reason for him to even be racing. So
Martin Truex plus 105 versus Kyle Busch. Thank you very much, Caesars. You are quite literally the best. Plus money.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get exposure to Larson because
I mean, Top Chevy is a smash.
Yeah, but
yeah, I saw you added this. Are you gonna add it or no?
yeah, I'm adding Larson over Byron. I just think just from a team perspective, like they're gonna do everything possible to make sure Larson gets into the next round. And I think just overall, like Larson's a better road course guy than Byron.
Let's see. Can we get Brian some Kyle Larson exposure?
I wanted to go to the top 5 market, but the top Chevy number is good, but I don't want to eat into your.
How about Kyle Larson plus 340 versus Truex, Hamlin, and Dinger?
It's too many variables there.
Larson plus 650 over Byron, Elliott, and Reddick.
Yeah, but at that point, if he finishes better than Reddick, I'm guessing he's going to win. So at that point, why just bet him top Chevy?
Or bet him to win the race.
Yeah, like it again, I feel like the best value on Larson is outright or top Chevy.
Yeah. And so if you want a piece, that's where you go.
Fuck. All right, screw it. I have it for real. I'm going to add the Larson outright for a chunk. I won't claim it. If he wins,
Kyle
I will not
Larson
claim
is
it as
not
5 in a
winning
row.
tomorrow.
Hmm?
I said, there you have it, folks. Kyle Larson is not winning tomorrow.
What is that number? 17?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that?
Caesar's.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I'm getting down with the sickness in Charlotte this weekend.
Good Lord. Okay. Shall we recap the card, give the people our favorite bet, and get out of here?
Let's do it.
Okay. Bet Chaka. I have Denny. I have Byron, both pre 18 and 7. Busher plus 550. You can still get 5-1. I like that a lot. Denny Hamlin, top Toyota, 420. It's come down. Still interesting. Busher over Bell. This is pre. You can get a better number now. Cindric over Harvick was my best bet. That's probably going to look real stupid when Harvick's like a top 6 car and Cindric's parked in the garage, even though he got a contract extension. Added Larson, 17. Added Truex, 16. Both numbers are just too compelling to pass on. Kyle Larson, top Chevy, 8-1. I don't know what we're doing. And then Truex was top Toyota. Truex versus
Bush,
KFP,
Kyle
right?
Bush.
I put
Yeah,
KFP.
KFP.
Why did it? Okay, I don't know. It must have auto updated. Plus 105. Brian has Bell, Bowman, and Reddick. He has Bubba top 10 at plus 350. Bubba over Stenhouse minus $1.20, and Bell over Gibbs, all pre-practice and qualifying. He added the Bubba 60-1, added the Bowman top 10, added Haley over Eric Jones, added Larson over Byron, and added the Larson outright. Brian Twining, Saturday night. It is almost 8 o'clock out here on the West Coast. What is your best bet for Sundays? Bank of America Roval.
I'm getting wild. No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be Justin Haley over Eric Jones. I mean,
Wow,
when you check,
no, that I think that is legitimately wild.
like Eric
It,
Jones, nobody in their right mind thinks that Eric Jones is good at road courses. Justin Haley was incredible here last year. He looked great at Chicago. He's in the same garage as freaking Dinger the Ringer, for God's sakes. So give me that number. Yes, I'll eat the juice. I'm going to make this a pretty strong it. We're going a full. This is like the max bet play here. And of course, this just means that Justin Haley is sure to wreck out early. But
just go bet Eric Jones. Eric Jones top 10s, top 5s.
no, in all seriousness, though, like if they both stay clean, I think Haley demolishes
Yeah,
Jones.
no, that's a solid bet. My favorite bet: Kyle Larson, top Chevy, 8-1.
Yep, I knew it. Yeah, I honestly I feel like that's the best way to get down on Larson and also to reduce the risk of having him to needing him to win.
My best bet is probably Truex over KFB, although there is a little bit of potential for shenanigans, as they say.
Yeah.
As they say, the less you bet, the more you lose when you win.